Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Bree and I'm here today to discuss Ready to Love, Make a Move, episode 5, titled Blast from the Past. Right, y'all, let's get into it. So we start this episode off with a continuation of Ashley talking to Kirsten, and she says at this point, where I am, I'm no longer worried about that anymore. What happened between us, that little confrontation they had last week. And so she's decided to keep him around. So I was kind of shocked because I really thought that she was going to make a move and probably, see that other guy she went on a date with last week. But I guess she just liked Kirsten so much, child. She just decided to keep him around. So she says that, she wants to see where things go between them. And, after she lets him know that she's going to keep him around, they share a hug and, she just seems really happy. So next, we see Charisse sit down with Maurice on the porch, and in her confessional, she says that she doesn't feel like Maurice is pursuing her. He's just sitting back and, she's not chasing no man because y'all know Maurice, he really doesn't say anything.
And this is how it felt.
Really?
She's explaining it to you.
Yeah, I'm just saying really.
So she proceeds to tell Maurice that, they've went on 3 dates and that she needs more than just the chemistry between them. She's looking for someone to make her feel good and not just feel flattered. So then she tells him that she's going to make a move in a different direction. So, he tried to play it off all cool. He's like, okay, I understand. And they did give each other a hug. It ended amicably. So when he gets some alone camera time, he lets us know that he doesn't know why he got eliminated because he thought that they were communicating effectively. So I'm just like, dude, I don't know how you thought that you guys were communicating effectively. Anytime that she went on a date with you, you just was either into your food, you weren't paying attention to her, you weren't asking her questions, you weren't really engaging. So I kind of trying to figure out where he got that from, but okay. But either way, he got eliminated. She decided to make a move. So in the next scene, we see it's the next day and we see Ashley, she's cooking in the kitchen and it looks like she has a seafood type boil. So she lets us know that she's cooking a crab boil for the ladies because she wants to bless them and feed them. And, Ashley can cook. So she just wanted to prepare a meal for them. So the girls come downstairs, they go into the kitchen, and Ashley, she asks them, how do you guys feel about everything right now? So Charisse says that Maurice has been calling her, and I was shocked because I'm like, wait a minute, you just got eliminated the other night, and now all of a sudden you're calling Charisse on a consistent basis. Like, I don't know what he was trying to do. I don't know if he was trying to worm his way back onto the show, or it just seems kind of strange to me why all of a sudden you're hitting Charisse up, but whatever. And so she lets the ladies know that, he's not back in the picture, but Maurice told her that he wants to show her around the town. So Zadia asks, well, what took him so long to even get to this place? And Charisse's response was like, I guess I'm the girl that got away. And so she informed him that she's going to sleep on it about, him taking her out. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. Maybe Maurice came to his senses and like, oh, shoot, like she really got rid of me. I guess he thought she never was. And so maybe it kind of woke him up to want to kind of go after her. So who knows what his motive is. So then Ashley lets them know that her and Donald are still talking and texting, and he's been persistent every day and night communicating with her. So I was shocked about that too. I didn't know that they were still talking, so I don't know what's up with that. So she says that she told him, they can build their friendship and that she'll see what the future holds for them. So I think Ashley's just, wanting to keep him around as a friend. I do think because she really liked him, maybe she's holding out a little bit of hope for the future, but yeah, anyway. So, as the ladies, they're eating, in come walking Tamika, the matchmaker. So she walks into the kitchen to greet the ladies, and she lets them know that she's invited 4 of their best friends to check in and see what's up with them, and that they're now arriving to the house. So all of the ladies' best friends arrive to the house, and the ladies run over to greet them. So as I'm looking at the screen, I notice, a few familiar faces. And so we learn from Tamika, the friends that she invited for the girls, they're actually their friends from previous seasons on Ready to Love. So basically, when the girls were contestants on the dating show, they met other people and then they formed genuine friendships with these particular people. So now they've come back to help them out with their dates on the show. So I thought that was cute. That was kind of funny. So the friends that came that were on Ready to Love, the dating show with them, we learned that Camille, Liz, LJ, and Stormy came out to see them. So Tamika says that their friends are going to join them on their keeper dates, the guys that they decided to keep around, and they're going to get to know the man that is at the top of their list. And also, they're going to make sure that the ladies are right on track with the guys that they've chosen to keep so far, and that their friends are going to help them figure out what's holding them back from finding a real connection with someone. So they're just here to, basically grill the guys that they're going to go on dates with, which are their keepers, and kind of help their friends, try to build a connection with these guys, or try to figure out, maybe this person isn't the right fit for them. So that's basically the gist of it. And so we learned that Camille is here for Zadia, Liz is here for Bernicia, LJ is here for Charisse, and Stormy is here for Ashley. So next, we jump on over to a new scene, and we see Zadia and Camille sitting inside of a bakery waiting for Cameron to arrive. So Camille tells Zadia that she doesn't want to scare Cameron off, and Zadia lets us know in her confessional that Camille at times can be a bit much. She is praying that Camille will ask Cameron the right questions, but she just doesn't want Camille to run him off. So anyway, Cameron arrives and Zadia lets him know that Camille is in town from DC. This is my friend, and she's just basically here to help me out and just to kind of meet you. And so as, Zadia is telling Cameron this, Cameron grabs her coffee. And so Camille is just watching them okay, he's grabbing your coffee. So Camille says, have you guys kissed before? Because he seemed kind of comfortable just taking your drink. And so Zadia replies that she's just letting him taste her coffee. Girl, calm down, just letting him taste my coffee. So as the date progressed, Camille asked Cameron, if he's a very busy man. And he responds saying that, yeah, I am. So she then asked him, how does that fit into a relationship if you're kind of always busy? So he says that it's his goal to have businesses and investments work for him so that he can have more free time. So that's kind of why he's working so hard. So then she asked him, can he see himself moving somewhere like DC, Washington, DC? So he says in his confessional that he feels like he's on trial because why is Camille interviewing me, it seems. So he kind of just feel honey, I'm on the stand for something and I'm on trial. So when she asked him that question about moving, he lets her know that, since he's from Omaha, Nebraska, he doesn't want to deal with snow again, and he just has no desire to go back up north to live. And it's one of the reasons why he moved down south, because of the snow. And I understand about that, child, because growing up in the snow, and then when you move to a warmer climate, it's just kind of hard to go back there, especially if you've grown up like that your whole life. It's just, you do not miss the snow. And I totally understand him about that. So yeah. So when he says basically, I ain't moving, I'm staying down south, Camille makes this face and she acts as if this ended tomorrow. I'm sorry. Scratch that. So she makes this face at him. And so she asks him, you know, if this ends tomorrow between you and Zadia, can you see yourself being with her? Basically, when the show ends. And so he responds saying, I would need her to, you know, be willing to, you know, move to the South. That's basically kind of the only way he'll keep this going. So Camille replies, you know, she can be open to visit, like both of y'all can visit each other. And so then he says, nah, it would be more than visiting. So basically he's letting her know, like, basically she's gonna have to move down here because I'm not moving to DC. So Camille keeps making like these faces as he's responding to her, and I'm just cracking up. It was just too funny. So in Zadia's confessional, she says that, you know, she's not opposed to making a move to New Orleans to be with him, but she needs Cameron to kind of compromise with her. You know, she doesn't want to make a huge move and he's not doing any compromising in the relationship. So that's where we are with that. So next, we see Bernicia and Liz meet up with Jabari at a restaurant and they all greet each other. So they sit down at a table and Jabari asks Liz, you know, where are you from? So she says she's from H-Town, which is Houston, Texas. And he replies that, you know, he's from Mississippi. So Liz asks him, you know, what do you do? And he says that he teaches human resources. So Liz asks him, you know, what is his thought on success? And he says when he thinks of success, he thinks of peace. So Liz smiles and says that she likes that answer. And then she asks Jabari, you know, how do you feel about women who are very successful in business? So he goes on to say, you know, whether or not, you know, I'm down for a woman who's successful in business, but when she comes home, she need to cut all that off because when she's home, she's no longer the boss and it's 5 o'clock and I needed to be turned off. So, so Bernicia says, you know, being a boss and being in leadership can be a 24-hour thing at times. You know, it's never just a 5 o'clock thing. So Liz replies and tells Jabari that, you know, sometimes Bernicia may have to be out and about because she's called upon for a lot of events. And it's just that particular lifestyle. Because as you guys know, Bernicia owns a hair salon. So maybe she's doing like booking a lot of jobs for different events, things like that. So she really doesn't have like a 9-to-5 type job. But anyway, so Liz says, you know, do you have an expectation of, you know, her stopping, you know, just because of the profession she's in? So he says, you know, around 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, he's in the bed sleep because he has work in the morning. So Liz asked him, you know, well, will that affect you? And he says, no, it won't affect me. And so he then says he's never been in a situation before like that, where he's dated someone who has kind of like not like a 24-hour job, but somebody who's basically on call that doesn't really have like a set 9-to-5 job. And so he says he's just used to his woman being home by the time he's home. So when he says that, Liz is looking at him like, I don't know about that. And she asks him, you know, would you be willing to compromise? And he responds saying that, you know, if you're not willing to change, then you don't need to be in a relationship. So basically he's telling her, yeah, I'm willing to compromise. So once he said that, Liz liked his answer and, you know, she gives him a high five. So next, we jump on over to a new scene where we see Charisse and LJ walking into a restaurant. Y'all, I'm about tired of these restaurants. Like, OWN, Ready to Love, production company, whoever. Can we get more other dates than just going out to dinner? Like, I know I did see different dates here and there from other places, at other places, but it's mostly they always at a restaurant. You always at a restaurant. Like, I want to see some other fun things. I can give y'all suggestions, you know, on what kind of different dates that people can do, but I'm just kind of tired of seeing people in a restaurant. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So anyway, when Charisse and LJ walk into a restaurant, they meet a guy named, they meet Keith, which is the date that Charisse went on last week. Once Keith arrives, you know, LJ asks him, you know, tell me about yourself. So Keith responds saying that he's an honest guy and that he likes to stay home and that he's kind of like an inside type person. So LJ asked him, do you travel? Because Sharice's child, she likes to travel. She's always on the go. And I think he said she likes to travel like to the Caribbean, like the islands. That's kind of probably one of her spots she likes to go to. When LJ asked him that, he says, that he's dedicated 25 years to raising his son and that recently he just took a solo trip to Dallas, Texas. So when he says that, Sharice is looking like, are you kidding me? Like Dallas, Texas. I guess she was thinking like, oh no, I've been to like Dubai. Like, I don't know, maybe some extravagant place. But Sharice is like, wait, you just traveled to Dallas, Texas? And not that anything's wrong with that, because I want to go there and visit one day. But Sharice is like, what? So Sharice says in her confessional that Dallas can't be the only place he's traveled to. Like, it's like 2 hours away from New Orleans. So LJ asks Keith, does he consider himself romantic or adventurous? And Keith responds stating that, he likes to keep it simple by, going out for ice cream and going on walks. Yo, when he said that, I was hollering. Because Sharice is at the table looking like, well, alrighty then, check please. So I feel like that turned her off because from what I'm sensing, Sharice wants kind of like a more outgoing guy that likes to travel, likes to go out and do things. She doesn't kind of want simple all the time. And nothing's wrong with going out for ice cream on walks. I think that's cute. But knowing how Sharice is, she ain't really feeling that. But anyway, so next we see Ashley and Stormy arrive at another restaurant, y'all, to meet Kirsten. So Ashley says in her confessional that, Stormy was pretty overdressed. Me and you going out to meet Kirsten, but really this is my date. So like, why is all your body showing? And so in a way, I'm like, I get what she's saying. I totally get, but I'm like, I feel like Ashley is kind of insecure in some ways. Like, never be bothered by another woman. Regardless of how she's dressed, you should always have in your mindset, well, he here for me, so no matter how she look or whatever. I just kind of want Ashley to be more secure. But anyway, I do understand, what she means. I understand her. So, they get to the restaurant, they're sitting down, and then Kirsten arrives. So when he gets there, he's wondering, like, why did Ashley bring company? He was just looking around. I think he was looking around at the cameras and probably the producers like, what's going on? So Ashley lets him know that, Stormy's her friend. She came in from out of town and she's here for moral support. So Stormy asks Kirsten, do you have any brothers? And he says, I have 4. So she's all excited, child, when he says that. And Ashley says in her confessional that, this is not Ready to Love. This is not the dating show we were on. You're here for me. This is called Make a Move. And I need to decide if I'm going to keep Kirsten or not. And I need your help to help me gauge if I should keep him or not. Like, I need you to be asking him questions, like grill him. You over here trying to get yourself hooked up. So anyway, so Stormy asks him, has he ever been married? And he replies no, that he's never been married. So then she asks him how old he is. And he replies that he's 38. And she says, you look younger. You don't look 38. So Ashley is just like, okay, what is going on? Because these two are just having like personal conversations. Stormy's not, basically interviewing him and saying, like, what is it that you like about my friend? Besides his personal life, like, what you do, things like that. But she's not really being there for her friend and asking him questions as it relates to Ashley. They're just over here having sidebar conversations, trying to get herself hooked up. And so, and also too, neither one of them are paying Ashley any attention. So to me, I felt like that was disrespectful of her as her friend, because, you know, these two are just talking and it's like they're trying to get to know each other as if they're on a date. And I just didn't like that. So you see them still talking to each other as if Ashley's not sitting there. Stormi's not asking him any questions, nothing. And it's just not looking good. So all of a sudden, Ashley gets up from the table, walks away, storms out. And when she gets up from the table, neither Stormi nor Kristen went to go check on her or nothing to even see what was wrong. And so I'm sitting here, you know, bump a guy, you know, forget the guy. But as your friend, and she's been friends with Ashley for years, you didn't even go up to go check on your girl. Like, as soon as she got up, you should have been like, oh my gosh, what is going on? What's wrong? Child, she sat there the whole time at the table talking to Kirsten. And I'm just sitting here like, that's crazy. So you can kind of see in the scene, they're not showing Ashley's like face or anything, but you can still hear her because she's mic'd up. So Ashley tells one of the producers that, you know, what's going on is that she's not even on a date. She's not even on a date with Kirsten. Her friend's not even helping her. And she's pretty much over it at this point because those two are just having their own conversation. So she says that if Stormi is going to talk about herself and her being single, you know, are you here to worry about me or are you here to worry about yourself? So one of the producers asked Ashley, you know, do you feel like she's grilling him for her? And she responds saying, you know, I'm not going to lie to y'all, but I feel a little weird about this. And I feel like I'm the third wheel. And she's definitely right because she's sitting here watching these two have banter. And it did kind of look and feel as though she's the third wheel. So I thought that was really messed up, especially you being her friend. And it's like you're trying to get yourself hooked up, you know, whether it be like with his brother or not, but I didn't like that, and that was not cool. That was wrong. So anyway, we jump on over to the next scene, and we see Zadia walking up to a restaurant to meet a new man because she's going on a blind date that Tamika hooked her up with. And we learn she's going on a date with a guy named Dylan, who's from New Orleans, and he's 31 years old, and he's a teacher. So Zadia lets him know that she's from Atlanta once they meet each other and that she now lives in DC. So he says that DC is one of his favorite cities to walk in. And then for the last 6 years, he's been living in New York. So he does tell her that he did recently just move back to New Orleans about 2 months ago and that he just received his first teaching job, teaching fourth graders, and that he's dyslexic. So in Zadia's confessional, she says that Dylan seems, you know, a little unsettled, you know, because I guess he just moved. He just got, you know, a new job teaching and, you know, she's just trying to figure out what's going on in his life. So, and also too, does he really have, you know, room for somebody in his life right now? So Zadia asked him, you know, do you like older or younger women? And so he says that he was raised that it was rude to ask a woman's age. So Zadia's like, you know, just guess my age. You know, you can tell me. So before he could reply, we jump on over to a new scene. So next, we see Charisse walking to a building where it looks kind of like a dance studio. And when she arrives, she meets a man named Mizell, who is 55 years old, and he's a high school dean. So we learn that they're going to take dance lessons. So yeah, they're at a dance studio. So their dance instructor begins showing them some dance move, and they start dancing with each other. So Mizell tells Charisse that she's gorgeous, and she's like, oh, thank you. And so I could tell she was attracted to him. He was definitely attracted to her. And honestly, he is an attractive, you know, guy, you know, especially for an older guy. He's definitely attractive. So while they're dancing, Charisse is in heaven. She's all smiles. You know, they're dancing. It's just looking so cute. And she says in her confessional that she likes the eye contact that they're making. You know, even though they're not talking to each other, she's still liking it because they're engaging, you know, through their eyes while they're dancing. So during his camera time alone, he lets us know that dancing with her was magical and that they have some chemistry. So it was really cute, you know. watching them dance together. So next, we jump back on over to Zadia and Dylan's date. And again, it goes back to Zadia, asking him, just guess my age. And so basically he says to her, you're an angel and basically you look good. So he never did, guess her age. And I thought that was an appropriate answer. So she was like, oh, okay, thank you. So then he says if he were to take her on another date, he would take her to an art gallery. So as he's saying that, he starts kind of stuttering and kind of being nervous. And I could tell from the gate when she first met him, he didn't really have a lot of confidence. I don't know, maybe he's shy, maybe he's nervous, and I get that. But overall, you can just tell when a man doesn't really have like a lot of confidence. So in Zadia's confessional, she says that the date with Dylan was enjoyable, but she feels like it was running a little stale. And she says that every time she goes on a date with a new guy, she always has Cameron in the back of her mind. Like he's always back there. And also she tends to compare her dates to him, which isn't good. But she says she is proud of herself for showing up to these dates physically and mentally, but 45% of her heart just isn't into these dates she's going on because she keeps thinking about Cameron. So you know how she is with him, child. So she says to Dylan that, they had a fun conversation, and he replies, thank you, miss. And so Zadia's like, and she says to him like, miss, like, oh my gosh, like, why are you calling me miss? Because I guess to Zadia, it kind of made her feel like I'm not old, so I don't know why you're calling me miss. So, I mean, with their date, it was okay. It's definitely nothing there. You can tell. No type of chemistry. It was more like, I don't know, like brother and sister type vibes. That's just what I got. But anyway, so we jump on over back to Charisse's date, and she asked him, has he been living? How has he been living? And he says that he's been living a peaceful life. So he lets her know that he has a dog, and she's like, oh, I have a dog too. So they kind of like bond over them having dogs. So she liked that as well. So he also tells her that he's a hopeless romantic, and he just likes going with the flow whenever he meets, a woman he's interested in. So in her confessional, she lets us know that she's having fun on her date with Mizell, and that he is a flirt, he really is, and that he's charming and has a nice smile. So she says, they just kind of float together, and it was just natural, and she's thinking that he may be a good fit for her. So, they start dancing again in the studio, and they're just having fun, twirling around, child, just flirty and just having so much fun. So that was a really cute date. I'm glad I got to see a date like that. And so, that's what I'm talking about. I want to see dates like this, not just we always going out to eat, going to a restaurant. So in the next scene, we see a man named Tabari who is 48 years old and is a realtor, and he's walking into a building. So we learn that he's going on a date with Vernisha. So Vernisha pulls up and they greet each other. And it's so funny because his name is Tabari, and then, she has her thing going on with Jabari. So I don't know if they did that on purpose, if production did that on purpose for Venetia, but I mean, that's funny. They both got the same name, just like the first letter is different. So the place that they arrived to, we learned that they're going to create their own scented oils. So next, we jump on over to a new scene, and in pops up Ashley, and she's walking into a blind date to meet a man named Chris, who's 35 years old and is an insurance agent. So they meet up at a painting place, and they greet each other, and, they start talking. So she is laughing at things that he's saying, and she says that he's really funny and knows how to keep her attention. Then we jump back over to Vernisha and Tabari's date, and they're picking out some scents. And so he lets her know that he really enjoys you know, having fun, and in between him doing real estate and having a restaurant that he manages, and then he owns a radio station, that at times things can get busy for him. So Vernisha is liking what he's saying because she likes the fact that he's an entrepreneur, and she's just like, child, it's just a breath of fresh air. So then back on over to Ashley's date with Chris. Chris tells her that his latest relationship was about 3 to 4 months ago. And so Ashley's like, wait a minute, that's, you know, very, very recent. You know, how are you going on a date and you just got out of a relationship 3 to 4 months ago? So immediately Ashley's like, what? So she's like, okay, tell me more about this. So he tried to change the conversation, try to flip it on her, talking about, oh, well, tell me about your last relationship. And she's like, no. Let's bring it on back. Tell me about that last relationship because you just got out of it. So she asked him, you know, well, how long did that relationship last? And so he replies that it was about 3.5 years. So Ashley is looking and saying like, what? Like, wait a minute. Like, you just got out of a long-term relationship, you know, not that long ago. Now you're out here dating. So she asked him, you know, are you even ready to make a move 3 months later after being in a 3-year relationship? And so he says, yeah, you know, I'm being honest with you. Yeah, I am ready. So she tells him that, you know, you don't need to be on a date. You need to take some time out and heal. And you know how Ashley is. She does not hold back about, you know, anything that she says. So back on over to Vernisha and Tabari's date. Tabari asks her, you know, do I have any competition out there with any guys that you're dating? And, you know, she starts laughing and she tells him, you know, let the best men win. And so Tabari tells, you know, the camera, once he gets camera time alone, he says that he's looking forward to his second date with Vernisha, as, you know, she has opened up to him and he's very comfortable with her. So there's comfortability there. And then in Vernisha's confessional, she says that, you know, there's a silliness about him, but he's still like a man's man, and she likes that. Like, she could just kind of be laughy, jokey with him, but he still presents himself as like a manly man. So next, in a new scene, the ladies are back at the house meeting with Tamika, and their friends are with them too. And so Tamika says that she wants to hear all about their dates, that they went out with their friends, and did their friends basically, you know, grill these guys that, you know, are their keepers. So we start off with Zadia, and Tamika asks, you know, if Cameron has passed her bestie test. So her friend Camille, she makes this face, and then she says, you know, he was very nice, but he's not for Zadia. And so Tamika asks Camille, you know, well, what would she want to see for her friend? So she responds saying that she doesn't think that Zadia and Cameron are equally yoked. And in Zadia's confessional, she says that, Camille says that Zadia needs someone that has time for her. You know, because remember, Cameron was telling her about all his business ventures and things like that, and he's kind of busy. So she's just saying Zadia needs somebody who's about her, that can spend time with her, you know, that has time for her. And so Tamika asked Zadia, you know, since Camille is saying these things about Cameron, that she doesn't see he's a good fit for you, are your feelings for him changing? And so Zadia responds and says that, you know, Camille has warned me about people in the past that I've dated, and, you know, she has been right about, you know, this particular person. And so since Camille has said this about Cameron, it's kind of raising my antennas. So she does say she does appreciate Camille for coming out, but, you know, it's kind of time for you to go.
I said what I said, okay?
So, you know, Miss Thing is trying to see her Cameron boo, and because Camille said that, sorry y'all, and because Camille said that, she kind of is like, oh, okay, it's time for you to go back to DC because you kind of messing up my good thing over here. So next, it's Vernisha's turn, and Tamika asks Liz, you know, what do you think about Jabari? So Liz says that, you know, he's very down to earth, and she did like that. However, she says that he seemed like he didn't want to compromise whenever he gets into a relationship. And it's a bit concerning, and he may not be the right fit for Venetia because he seems too much as like a homebody. And, you know, Vernisha is kind of a little bit more outgoing than Jabari. And remember, he said he's in the bed 9:30, 10 o'clock. And again, Vernisha, because of the type of business that she has, she may not be in the house at the time and may be doing, you know, certain events. So Liz is just like, I don't know how that's going to work. Their lifestyles and kind of like their personality dynamics. So next, Tamika asked LJ, you know, what did he think about Charisse's date, Keith? So he says that Keith seems like a nice guy, but that he may be kind of boring for Charisse to be with him because he's kind of like a homebody type of guy. And Charisse is outgoing. She just likes to travel. So Tamika says to LJ, you know, sometimes you have to take people out of their comfort zones because, you know, they don't know any better. So LJ says, you know, yeah, you're right. You know, for guys, it takes the right kind of woman to bring something out of them. And maybe Charisse can be that woman for him. You know, you just never know. So then Tamika says to Ashley, you know, I would know you and your friend Stormy went on a date with Kirsten. And so Ashley says, no, yeah, she kind of went on a date with Kirsten. I kind of didn't. So Tamika lets everybody know that Stormy couldn't be there with them today. And that, you know, Stormy did go on a date with you and Kirsten. And how did that go? So Ashley says, you know what? What you said was perfectly correct because she went on my date with Kirsten. So everybody's looking all around, all awkward. Like, it kind of was awkward because they're like, okay, well, what happened? And so all of a sudden, Ashley pulls out a fan and she's looking real mad. And so she says that she's pissed off. And she says in her confessional that she no longer wants to answer any questions about that date. Like, she was really, really mad about that. And scene. So yeah, y'all, it cuts off again at a cliffhanger. So we don't know what Ashley is going to say to Tamika. We'll find that out next week. So anyway, I'll give this episode an 8. I'll give it an 8. It wasn't bad at all. It was definitely better than last week's episode. I'm curious to know how their friendship is going to be, or even if they even have a friendship to this day. It was really messed up what Stormy did to Ashley. That was not right. She didn't have her back. She was basically out for self, and she didn't even try to, you know, like gauge this guy for her friend, especially y'all been friends for years. This isn't like no new friend. So, and you can tell it really did hurt Ashley and Kirsten too. He didn't care about Ashley at all. He was too concerned talking to Stormy. So that was pretty messed up. But overall, the episode was good. I'm glad the friends came into town. So we got to see some familiar faces, and overall, it was just good, y'all. So yeah. So, but before I go, you guys know what I love to do. I just love to say a prayer over you. So here it goes. So may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. This is my prayer over your life. In Jesus' name, amen. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's episode. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you'll be informed whenever I upload a new video. So again, guys, take care. Bye.